Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to the Allegheny Northern in N-scale. And today we're going to cover a topic that, well, it's not a new topic. It's something we've talked about here before, but it's worth reviewing because I had, or starting to develop anyway, a terrible case of modeling fatigue. And so I know that it's summer, and there's a lot of other things that are going on right now, and a lot of other things that folks are doing, and sometimes it's hard to stay motivated to work on your model layout. And I guess if you're outside, you're doing stuff, and family and friends and all that, that's not really that bad. You've just traded one good time for another. But if you're not modeling because, well, the fact of going downstairs and trying to model a little bit or work on your trains is just feels like work and just feels like pain, well, then you definitely have some modeling fatigue, and we should talk about it. So we're going to go through that right now. We're going to talk about the things that cause modeling fatigue, and we're going to discuss some of the ways that you can, one, notice it, and two, sort of avoid it. Okay, so first things first, I've been modeling since the mid-90s, and it was simpler back then, and layouts were a lot smaller because, well, I was in parents' house and I didn't have much room. And the models weren't what they are today, so I had, Bachman stuff and all that. And I've been in and out of the hobby, basically. That's a lie. I haven't been out of the hobby. I've been more involved and less involved in the hobby, I guess is a good way to put it. And with that, there's been a lot of things to consider, and things that have made me pause, and things that have brought me further away from the hobby and further into the hobby. And so let's go through some of that now. Okay, first, let's talk about what happens when we get in that sort of modeling, I want to say, fatigue. Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen is you're not going to want to go down and model. Everything's going to seem like work, and it's just not going to appeal to you. And when you get to that point, got an issue going on here. The other thing that'll happen, and this is what happens to me, is yes, I want to model, yes, I want to go do train stuff, but I find myself buying lots of train stuff. Like, oh, it's been a couple of weeks. I don't have any new cars to run. I don't have any new locomotives. I need new paints, something, and I end up buying something. And the reason I do that is because, well, I'm not happy with what I have. I'm not happy with what I'm doing, and so I go and I get something else. And I recognize that as, that sort of retail therapy is not necessarily, well, it's fun, but it's not necessarily solving the problem that I'm avoiding. 9 times out of 10, that problem is something that I don't want to work on. And so for me, it's probably wiring or, speed matching locomotives. Just something that's not fun. So, okay, so yes, now we have modeling fatigue. How are we getting out of it? All right, first things, let's identify what could be the problem. Something nobody ever talks about is the modeling room comfortable? Because if the room is not comfortable, it's even harder to justify going down and spending time. Walls should be painted, flooring should be in, there should be ceiling, the lighting should be good, the temperature should be controlled. You should enjoy the modeling space. And if you are not enjoying your modeling space, then yep, I'm afraid that is probably going to lead to some times when you're just like, I don't want to go down there because maybe the room's a mess, and that's stopping you. Keep your train room clean. Keep your train room neat, well lit, comfortable, ready to go. Have a chair somewhere where you can just sit down and think about something if something needs thought about. Just make it so that it's an inviting place to be. It's going to go a long way in getting you down into the train room. So that's my number one thing. If you're not working on, if you have nothing else you can work on your layout, no inspiration, then go downstairs, get your train room cleaned. Put things away, organize things, sweep the floor, make sure all the light bulbs are working. Just get the place ready to model. Okay, so you've got a comfortable space. Your layout is thumbing along and it's just running great. You're very happy with all that. But you still can't find the inspiration you need to sit down and spend some time modeling. That's the big one. That's the tough one. And it's the one that happened to me. And this layout being as intimidating as it is now, I had so much to do. And so my engineering brain kicked in and I said, okay, I'm going to approach this very systematically. I have this section of the layout that is scenic, not done, scenic. I have this section of the layout that is scenic. I have that section that's not. So let's connect. All right, let's get that connected. Well, that was a great idea until I realized I don't know what I want to do down there. No idea. I have no idea what this section of the layout is going to be or look like. I know that the scene was obvious because it was there previous, so the scrapyard makes sense to put that back. I knew that this area was going to be my night scene. Okay, so that was easy enough to figure out. Then I got to here and that's where it fell apart. Didn't know what to do there. I now know what I want to do here, but at the time I didn't, so I went over and I started working on the port scene. So, moral of the story is there, when you don't know what to do because either you have too much to do, or you don't know what it is you want to do, that is the absolute perfect time to go work in another area. Especially if something strikes you as, my case, let's go work on the port scene. Okay, I am now outside of my original plan, a little bit off where I thought I was going to be, but I'm working on something that I have the inspiration for. I want to see that come true, and that is where my brain is at right now. So let's go make that work. So don't necessarily get stuck in a linear pattern where you have to do this or you have to do that. Remember, it's a hobby. You can do things in the order in which you want to do them. So if running trains is not as important to you, then maybe that locomotive not running is not what you should be working on. But if you're also like me and having something not running the way it's supposed to will bother you until you fix it, well, then maybe that is what you need to work on. So just focus for you, whatever makes the most sense to keep you interested in the hobby. That will avoid modeling fatigue. Okay, the next thing. This is actually a big thing. Okay, and it involves that little locomotive right there. So I was having issues with that locomotive running, and I was having issues with the NS unit behind the big boy, and nothing had changed on the layout. The layout was exactly the same. I hadn't done anything to the track, except I did. I've been working so much down here that things get shifted, things get bumped, especially these areas that are all sort of temporary in. Because they're not permanent, they have a little bit of movement. Maybe I dropped some scenic material on it, or whatever the case is. It gets in the way of me running the trains like I'm running them now, and so it becomes frustrating because they're not doing what I feel they should be doing. They're not acting the way they should be acting. And so it felt like one step forward and 2 or 3 back. It was a major problem for me. And, that was really starting to put me in a bad place mentally with the layout, because everything I was doing, it seemed like I was making no progress. Sure, I'd get some scenery done, but now my trains don't run. The box cars were all over the ground, and the locomotives were derailing, and it's like, what happened? Everything was running so perfect a day ago. So, it took me some time to, sort of figure everything out, clean everything out, and one issue that I'm having is with this lead NS unit, or Conrail unit, is that the fine details of the brake hose like to get in the way of the trucks turning and staying on the track. They actually kind of jam it up, and so it comes into a turnout, picks the switch, comes into a curve, derails, and then picks the next switch. I had to take it into the workbench and make some adjustments to it, And so far, it's doing better tonight than it was doing last night, so I'm going to call it success. But not quite, because I had a derailment earlier, same issue, so something got caught up again. And my general rule of thumb is that if it doesn't work every time, then it doesn't work. And that's just because you can't, in the middle of an operating session, have your locomotive, shorting out a district or causing a derailment or just not staying on the tracks. It's just not going to be fun. So, you know, that still feels like a setback. Now, I hadn't been running these locomotives, and now that they're on the layout, they're finding little bumps that other locomotives weren't having an issue with and stuff like that. So it's just been a matter of fine-tuning some sections of track. And actually, it's not even the new track that I put in. It's the old track where we're finding little errors that need addressed. So it's okay. It's making for a better running layout, but it does feel like steps backwards. And that makes you think, do I really want to go down into the layout, and do I really want to work on it? Because I don't feel like chasing problems tonight. I just want to have a little bit of fun. So don't remortgage the family home to keep yourself interested in the hobby, because it's quite easy to do, especially in this one, and especially when manufacturers seem to put out all the cool stuff all at one time. But just you know, keep your ideas fresh, keep your models fresh. Make sure you've got a backlog of stuff to work on, because if you're working on let's say you're working on a boiler house building and you're just not feeling it, but you also got maybe a two-story little cottage that you're working on, and you bounce between those two models, it keeps things interesting and just keeps you kind of going in the flow of things. So just make sure you've got a backlog of work. Kind of keeps things interesting. Don't forget, if you don't feel like building anything, but you've kept your trains up and running, then just go down and run some trains. You don't have to necessarily make forward progress. And, especially in summertime when it's a little bit more difficult to make that forward progress, just go down and run trains. It's very relaxing to watch them run. As long as they're running okay. If you're chasing problems all night, then it's sort of goes the other way, I think. But in any event. Okay. Last but not least, don't get out of modeling. Maybe change what you're modeling. If you're not feeling the inspiration to work on the trains, get yourself a military model. Get yourself a car model. Get yourself something that'll keep you interested. If for nothing else, if you're really at a stalemate with your ideas for your layout, don't get out of modeling. Model something different. Go build a car model, build a military model, build a little diorama, paint some minifigures for, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons. You don't even have to play. Sometimes those things are just fun to paint. I've done it. It's fun to stop painting model trains and go paint a dragon. Why? I don't know. Just something different. But you'll learn a different set of skills. It'll kind of cleanse the palate, so to speak. And when you come back, you'll be ready to rock and roll for your trains. So keep it interesting. Keep it real. You'll have a good time with that. You'll get a little break, and you won't get out of modeling, which is really, really important. And that will bring me to my last, final point. You will hear people recommend that if you're just not feeling it, take a break, step away from the hobby. Problem is, some people step away from the hobby and they never come back. So, unless you're wavering on whether or not you want to be a model railroader, my recommendation is stay with the hobby. Just take your time and think about other options. Think about other projects. Run trains. Stay in the hobby. Don't abandon it, because the second you do might be the second that you don't come back. And so I think leaving the hobby is terrible advice, and I don't recommend it for anybody. It just doesn't seem to work out well. Okay, so here's some things that we are going to do to avoid modeling fatigue. Okay, this is what I would recommend. I'm a list person. I like to make lists of things that I need to do. Except I find that lists with model building, they just become too work-like. And so it's not like I'm building a building where I have to start with the site work and then the foundations and then the steel. Now, I don't have to do that, because once my layout is up and my trains are running, then everything else I can do in pretty much any order. I don't have to get the lighting in next. I don't have to get the scenery in next. I can go work in an area that's maybe already been scenic, but add details. Maybe I want to work on some detail projects. So I like to kind of not put lists together for my models. And I just like to come down here and I like to, maybe I've got an idea in mind, like this is what I want to work on today, and I go down and I do that. But 9 times out of 10, I just kind of walk into the train room and I pick up something and I start working away. So now it's, the inspiration struck me, this is what I want to do. We've talked about model railroading as an art. It is an art, and if you're not feeling it, it's not what you should be working on. So don't force yourself to do projects that you're not in the mood for. You're either going to rush them or you're just not going to enjoy them, and then that really takes it out of the hobby. So don't get yourself into a position where you don't want to do something, but you got to do it. Good example for me, all this bench work. I hate the carpentry because although it's necessary, it's time consuming. It's a lot of cutting and measuring, and all that time you're not modeling something and you're not running trains. But it has to be good enough to hold your trains up, otherwise it's going to be problems later. So it's one of those things. I know I'm telling you, do what you want to do. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. It's just one of those catch-22s. Wiring's another one for me. Hate wiring. Absolutely hate running wires. But I love when it's all wired up and everything's running perfectly, and you get the flashing lights and you get the sound and you get the perfectly running trains. And so, yes, there are times when we have to do the things that we don't want to do, but in general, those are fleeting moments, and you sort of grin and bear it, get it done. But do what the mood strikes you. So if you don't know what to put in on that side of the layout, but you know you want to work on the port, go work on the port. Nobody that comes to visit your layout is going to know that you're doing something out of order, because that order exists only in your head. Stay up on your maintenance. Absolutely stay up on your maintenance. As soon as something gives you trouble, take it off the layout, double check it, make sure wheels are engaged, make sure detail parts aren't in the way, especially if it's a scale train's locomotive. Make sure that everything, couplers, just check your stuff and make sure it works. Do what most of us do, wait until there's a problem, then go address the problem. Doesn't mean you have to take every locomotive out and service every locomotive before every operating session. You can, especially if you don't have a large fleet. But if you have a large fleet, as soon as an issue arises, address it. Don't let it linger. It's not going to go away, especially if it happens every time you run that locomotive. That's not a fluke. You get flukes every now and then. Train will just pick a switch or something, but typically if it's happening every time or every other time, you need to make an adjustment. Keep your trains running well, keep them well oiled, keep everything engaged. Just make sure they're running well. Otherwise, you're going to feel like every step forward is 2 steps back when you can't run trains and all you do is end up cleaning up derailments all night. Most importantly, absolutely most important, stay engaged. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to model every day, every weekend. It doesn't mean that you need to run to the hobby shop every week. Although if you can afford that and can do that, why you wouldn't, I have no idea. But just stay engaged. Whatever you do, make sure you make some time to get away and to relax in the hobby. And if you're keeping your layout up and running, you're keeping your training room clean and neat, and things are running the way they're supposed to, then you can step back and you can watch your trains on any side of your layout, snake through the track. You're going to get that enjoyment. You're going to feel that passion. It's going to motivate you to do things. If everything else fails, layout's not running right, motivation isn't striking you for scenery, you're tired of building bench work, you're tired of running wires, it's okay. Stay in the hobby. Do some armchair modeling. Go on your favorite hobby shop's website. Go on YouTube. Watch train videos. Go rail fan. Do whatever you need to do to get yourself re-engaged. All of those are great options. Most of them don't cost a whole lot, although if you're browsing a hobby shop website, that could cost a lot. I guarantee you most people live within a few minutes of train tracks. I know we're a little bit spoiled here. We've got trains all over the place in town, so I can pretty much just go see trains whenever I want, but most of you can get to a line, watch trains, even if it's for a couple of hours. It just makes things, it sort of puts it in perspective when you see the real thing and you go, yeah, that's what I want to do. And maybe you see a locomotive and you go, you know, I can make my locomotive look like that. So it gives you ideas. And like I said, worst comes to worst, sign on to YouTube and watch them there. But whatever you do, even if you've got to model something different, maybe you're not modeling trains right now, maybe you just go and you build yourself a nice military model. Make yourself a nice little military diorama. Maybe you paint some miniatures and do yourself a nice dragon or a dinosaur or just something totally different than what you normally would. It's still modeling. It's still kind of keeping you in there. It's still, call it a cleansing of the palate. And that'll keep you motivated. If worse comes to worse and you're really stuck on something, maybe you got a problem you can't solve. And Lord knows I've been in plenty of times where I'm modeling something and I got a problem I cannot solve. I go to YouTube. And if I can't find the video there, I ask you guys, hey, how do I do this? Or have you had this experience? Somebody somewhere usually has. And the advice you get, 9 times out of 10, pretty good. Last thought. It's your railroad. Whatever your railroad does, if that's what your railroad does, it's right by you. Don't forget to have fun. And if that means putting a sleeping T-Rex on a flat car, do it. There will be people who will say, oh, that's stupid, oh, that's toy-like, oh, that's not. Don't listen to the haters. Ain't nobody care about them. Chances are they are nobody in the hobby anyway. Just go enjoy it. And actually, flaunt it more. Because when you do, it makes those people mad and makes you happy. So, okay, that's it for this week's video. I felt that I owed you guys some running trains because in the last video there were not really any trains running, and that was because I was very busy in getting the basement ready for the air conditioner guys. They were in and out 2 days, but we got a brand new air conditioning. It feels glorious in the house. And they were able to do exactly what they said, work around the layout without me having to move anything, take anything apart, except the section that is right actually above me here, this removable section that goes in front of the vector panel. I had to move that so they could get in there, but they were able to do all of the work around the layout, didn't have any issues. It was much better than I thought. I expected to be making repairs for days. But nope, the guys were very good, and I'm very cool, which makes me very happy. I am a polar bear. I do not like when it gets much above 68, so it is nice and cool in the house, which is great because it's 90 degrees outside and the humidity is, I think, 75-80%, so it is just raw. But anyway, I made up for it. I got you some trains running. Next week's going to be kind of a fun video. Next week's video is going to be a sort of a State of the Union. And we'll do a State of the Railroad. So that'll be a fun one.